interview questions, like asking questions to the panel. Do you think there's a difference around this online as to face-to-face? Like, I know people do tend to ask questions, not everybody does. Like, what's your take on that side of interviewing?
Yeah, so I would always recommend that people, when they interview, have a couple of questions that they want to ask the panel at the end, because I think it just looks as if you've done your preparation, and also that, you know, it's a very two-way process, isn't it, interviewing? So you often, as an interviewee, want some answers to some questions. So things that I would normally suggest might be good questions to ask would be, you know, what would be my priorities in my first 3 or 6 months in this role? How does this role and the work that this role would be doing fit into the broader strategy of the organisation? But I think there are certainly some questions that would be much more relevant to ask in an online interview, because you just won't get the answers to those, because you're not in the office. You won't physically see the office and see what the space is like. So yeah, there'd definitely be some questions to ask around that.
Yeah, I think there'll be certain things that you probably take for granted that you pick up on when going into a physical space, like accessibility. Again, coming back to that, like how accessible is the office? Do adjustments need to be made? And things like socializing, like do people go out for lunch? Is there a space to make lunch? Just quite a lot of things that might come out when you're there face to face. And even like building. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say also, obviously, quite a lot of organisations now are advertising roles in a hybrid working model. So it'd be good to ask, you know, how does that work? Is there a typical working pattern? Is it, if it's full time, is it 3 days in the office and 2 days at home? The team that this role is working in, what days do they tend to come in? You know, is there always a team meeting on a Wednesday? Is that normally a day that you'd want somebody in the office? So just understanding a little bit more about the practicalities of how that might work and how it works for kind of office, remote, hybrid working.
Yeah, definitely.
I like your point around, you know, kind of what's it like to work for this organisation? What's the team like? Do you have team building activities and social events that bring people together, that, you know, potentially you might be working in a team where you only cross over with people a couple of times a month if you're working different days? It's always nice to feel as if you're part of something bigger and part of a broader team or department.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there might be posters up in the office that kind of celebrate those things. There's kind of social events or clubs or things that you could take part of that may not come up in the interview online. And I think even getting like the general vibe of like the office, like you would know maybe if you were going in there, actually it's a real buzz to it. There are people in on this day, or actually is there no one in? And you can't really tell from the online interview because you're not in that space. So just asking those kind of questions, like what's a typical day across the week? Like, what does the office look like on a Monday? Are many people in? And try and really get a feel for what it's like being in that office. Even if you are going to be going in 1 day a week, I think it's good to know those things and ask those questions.
Definitely. Great tips.